I'm into manufacturing. I manufacture the impact sensor for the automobile airbag. That is a device that would give the signal for the airbag to pop out if there is an impact. And the end users include Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, and then in Europe, Volvo, Saab, BMW, Aston Martin, and so on. The uniqueness of what I do is its quality requirement, which is called 1 ppm quality. 1 part per million is the defect tolerance rate. And that is the highest level of quality anywhere in the world. There is no quality beyond that. And we have managed to achieve, not only to achieve, but to sustain that quality for the past 15 years. Because the equation is, as you know, impact sensor is a device that will distinguish between life and death. And if there is a failure, the equation is you will have to walk towards the door of exit in your business. So you have to have a foolproof system to maintain that quality. And as I said, we have been maintaining it, and we don't have a choice. And you might wonder, now, the importance here is I'm supplying this component to both China and India. You might wonder why the Chinese and the Indians aren't they capable of doing it? Of course they are. But the reason that I have managed to penetrate into these markets is the quality itself. Because it is very easy to copy the end product. You can copy the end product. But when it comes to high level of quality like 1 ppm, quality is not in the end product. It is in the process. Although it is easy to copy a product, it is difficult to copy a process. So, of course, for the big brands in both India and China, especially Chennai, I'm supplying this particular component. So the insight that I want to bring is that when it comes to economies of scale of the two countries that is there in the theme, China and India, it is very difficult for us to compete, and we shouldn't. So we have to find ways and niche markets taking into consideration the strengths of our own country and our own people to enter these markets. Because it is being said to train a female worker to operate a Juki machine, it takes 6 months in Bangladesh. But in Sri Lanka, it's just 6 weeks. So we have to identify this, and we have to use it as a strength to penetrate these markets. And also, we should not, I would prefer that if we can think as a region, collaboration between India, China, and Sri Lanka, rather than thinking in isolation. Now, because we have to understand the economy cannot operate in isolation. There is always the people's sentiments of the geographical locations of those particular countries. For example, with respect to the Indian and Chinese nationals in the panel, with all due respect to them, these are certain facts that I wish to mention. The Indians enter our exclusive economic zone, and they do poaching, and they take away the fish which is valued at $8 billion per annum. That is almost equal to our export income, right? And then when the Chinese paid the first installment to acquire the Hambantota port, one of the first things that they did was to cut down the flagpole and bring the Sri Lankan flag down, so which does not augur well to the sentiments of the people of this country. So therefore, we should try to understand that the economy does not operate in isolation. It must go with the sentiments of the people of that particular country, and all of us should learn to respect those sentiments. It is not how we shouldn't look at as to how we must or we should thrive, but we should, as I said, look into as to how we can collectively, as a region, how can we put our strengths together and challenge the world, rest of the world. But coming back to the Sri Lankan context, if you look at the events that have been happening since the 26th of October, there is a thick carapace of insensibility that has grown over the collective psyche of the nation. And to provide the necessary catharsis to this situation is the responsibility of any socially relevant institute or any forum. And I trust this forum is addressing exactly that. Thank you very much.